Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our morning vol report. This is Andrew Giovinazzi, Chief Operating Officer of OptionPit.com, welcoming you again to our daily option class. Will be this Saturday. It might be moved to next Saturday, just to let you know. You will know more about that, though. Today, we might have to move the date. Of course, the class is recorded. If you signed up for it, let us know, but we'll get news. There will be news out on this subject today. But it is learning about how just the daily options work, how they act, and essentially you've got expiration now 3 days a week. My guess is we're probably going to have daily expirations on a weekly, in a year. There's going to be a lot of this and no shortage of it. Let's put it that way. So might as well learn to see what happens. As far as so that's our activities going forward. We're also going to be sending out notes for our gold class soon. We're looking for a start date of Monday, I believe it's going to be like October 3rd is kind of our tentative start date. We're going to be teaching our gold class live to all gold members. You just get it. And gold and above, just get it. For people that are interested, send me a note at andrew@optionpit.com. But we're upgrading the entire essentially upgrading all the content. We're upgrading. We'll say we're updating the content. All right, and with that, so we have, I would say, just a couple interesting things today. As far as, let's just go to VIX, right? So we had one of those occurrences on a Friday where we had market down, vol down. That usually does not bode well for vol. It also does not bode well for. It doesn't bode well for the market supporting volatility. So if we look at, let's say, a futures window here for VIX, right? Now we looked at several positions. Trying to game settlement. As far as that goes, I'm thinking we could have like a low 14 settlement. It's certainly possible, even with the Fed saying something on Friday. The market's kind of already they are discounting everything heavily. So what we're mostly looking at is the volatility products are very weighted now toward that October future. It's going to be almost all the OCT19 future very soon. And they could be in for a rough week. So I think really we've got sort of a choice of two moves. You've got earnings are now only, 3 weeks away. You don't see much on the election. As far as central banker news. So as far as like sort of known things, there's less volatility except for the election, and right now we'll see how that really plays into it. It usually doesn't create too much volatility, but it doesn't mean it can't. So what we do have though is, let's look at a couple things that are important. So we do have a VIX that's holding up for the potential of whatever the rate news is. At 15 VIX, it's pretty fair for what we've been doing lately. It's not, I don't think it's super overpriced, but it's also definitely priced a little expectation. And I think that expectation is, again, it is coming out of the market. If you look at a product like, right, let's just look at VXX. We discussed this last week in our chat room as a pretty heavy subject. If you look at the 5-day chart, we're all of a sudden now we're starting to see some new lows, which means the products themselves are the future component of the products are starting to look at those. They're starting to look at the lows again, right? We look at 3 months. Okay, here's our number here. Let's grow this a little bit. So something like VXX, which is all vol futures, this was the low before everything exploded. Right, we had that one kind of big candle, came back. Since then, that was the low. So that's what you're starting to look for. this was VIX right around what, 12 and change. All right, it might take a week to get there, but you certainly could see, I think, levels right around here, especially for VXX, something like mid 34.5 or something like that. They take another point out of the vol futures. So if we don't really get a lot of action, it's hard for the volatility products to go up and catch a bid. There is, I would say right now, again, looking at just where vol is priced, if we look at just some normal decay, right, this September is pretty close. It should be for a couple days away. We're now full, we'll be $2.50. Even if VIX monthly drops to 14, all of a sudden there's $3 of future premium in there. That starts putting pressure on those products again, and we're starting to look for slightly lower numbers for now. So unless there is a surprise, like I'd say like a Brexit type of surprise that totally catches the market off guard, the vol products are weighted down. And again, we kind of are positioned like that. Essentially, you either have a blow up or just keep drifting down. Vol keeps drifting down back to the kind of like the 12, 13 handle for VIX. That's what we have. As far as individual names, I like the idea of Google kind of rallying up a little bit. Some of the big technology that quite hasn't participated, I expect it to start participating. The Qs are pretty much the best performing thing. Apple's sort of out of the gate. And it's not going to surprise me to see new highs. Again, anything except for some sort of really off-the-cuff surprise, and this probably will continue to be one of the stronger areas just because of earnings growth everywhere. So we have some positions looking for that as a little bit of upside there. So vol probably sliding into the Fed. I would stay out of at least trying to fade the upside in all the Q stocks, even though we're at highs. They seem to be holding on very well. Names like Intel are also, it's looking again toward the end of the year. These are all products that they haven't done much this whole year, really. Well, it's popped up now if we look for the 1-year picture, though. So from January, we were kind of right here, and it's now just finally sort of making a little bit of move up. So it won't surprise me to see a little bit more of this all the way across the board in technology. The banks, which I thought would have been basically a great sector moving forward, this looks like some kind of misprint. I'm not quite sure what's going on with XLF. But I will find out. But if you just look at something like, JP Morgan, I thought these would do a little better. They're still struggling to get out of their way. And what's funny is I see a headline like this in the Wall Street Journal, just mostly like banks are afraid to make money because they're overregulated. That obviously it's a sector that I feel it's still being held down at, but I think the time frame on it is going to be a little longer than we want. And with that, we'll look at some positions, trying to game the Fed in our chat room, moving forward, and see what happens. Because right now, all the Fed's controlling all the volatility. They're controlling all the banks. It's like it's kind of a strange market, I have to say. And hopefully, at one point, they'll stop doing that. And with that, I will see you all later in the chat room. Bye-bye.